I don't know about you guys, but I have complete Epstein fatigue, and I really don't even want to cover this story anymore, but it's so prominent. It's breaking the internet. It's a huge, huge deal, and it's impossible for me not to share. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. We are live right now. Welcome to Nez Nation Live. I'm your host, Professor Nez. Our mission here is to make common sense go viral. The Epstein scandal just won't go away. The GOP House Committee Oversight just did a extensive review interviewing a lot of victims, and now you've got this bipartisan joint effort by Thomas Massie from Kentucky, which I'm sure is a very controversial figure, and Ro Khanna, Democrat, who have criticized the government in unsealing files and pushed for Epstein Files Transparency, an act called the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which has 134 signatures and needs 2 more to force a House vote. Survivors shared emotional testimonies, naming figures like Bill Clinton as well as President Trump, amid White House warnings of hostile acts and bipartisan frustration over elite productions. So this was a petition again that now I'm hearing has already passed the House. And I just, I have to cover this. This is very, very important news. If you're like me and you've got a little bit of fatigue and Epstein fatigue, just let me know in the comments down below. Also, I would love to hear where you're joining me from. If you happen to be watching this on the replay, give me a capital TR in the comments right now. And also let me know where you're joining me from, what city, what state, what country. Caroline Leavitt, the White House staff, Newscombs, awful, abhorrent. They all watch this show. Let them know how you think. Let them know what you want. Let them know. I guarantee you, Thomas Massie, all of these guys, they watch our show. So let them know how you feel. Let them know where you're joining me from. Let them know how vast our Nez Nation audience is. Okay, so we have to go back a little bit here. And then I'm going to share with you some pretty surprising testimony from Epstein survivors, and I'll explain kind of everything that's going on right now with this new GOP oversight committee. So this has been botched since day one. We had people like Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, who we thought were like the next Avengers, right? And Pam Bondi said, I've got them all on my desk. They're coming out tomorrow, 8 a.m. Big nothing burger. We've got all these videos. I'll put it out tomorrow. Nothing burger. We've got the prison video. Put it out. Nothing burger. It's missing a minute. That's not a big deal. Nothing burger. It appears he wasn't alone in his cell. Nothing burger. Bongino and Patel saying, well, he unalived himself. That's it. He just did it. And it seemed like they were acting like hostages from Iraq or something crazy like that. Thank you, Jim Barron. You're the best of the best. We got the best mods in the business. Tap that thumbs up if you love America. And it just, and then President Trump calling it a hoax. He called it a hoax again today. I'll share that quick clip as he was welcoming Polish president today for negotiation talks and tariff talks, et cetera, taking care of the world on the world stage. And it's great to see you. We got Oklahoma in the house, Orange County in the house, Tualatin, Oregon. Never heard of that place. Welcome aboard. Come on in. Detroit, Michigan in the house. So we've got nothing burger after nothing burger. Do we have the files? We don't have the files. The prison video is weird. We've got experts, lawyers, and prison correctional facility experts saying there's no way in a billion years he could have ever unalived himself. And then we had Ghislaine Maxwell, which, funny enough, never ever once during the Biden administration, 2021 to 2025, never once was interrogated, investigated, questioned, or even asked, hey, what do you know about this stuff? What do you know about Epstein, right? Then we had Todd Blanche, as the deputy AG, talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. And here's a quick snippet of what she said. She says not only is there no list, but she doesn't think that Epstein unalived himself. Take a quick listen to this.
So you think he did not die by suicide, given all the things we just talked about?
I do not believe he died by suicide, no.
And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who killed him?
No, I don't.
And what about Epstein's infamous client list? Did he even have a list?
By the way, this was back. This was back in early August.
You never observed, or you never saw any sort of list or black book or a list of individuals who, linked to certain masseuses or
Absolutely
anything
not.
like that?
Absolutely no. There is no list. There is no. I'm not aware of any blackmail. I never heard that. I never saw it, and I never imagined it.
The list doesn't exist. So flight manifests don't exist. The surveillance tapes don't exist. The bank records don't exist. Well, what about Trump? The media spent the last couple months trying to smear him as Epstein's predator pal.
I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
And did you ever hear Mr. Epstein or anybody say that President Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world?
Absolutely never. In any context.
A good portion of the interview focused.
Okay, so this is where it gets really strange and bizarre. Okay, and then you have Dr. Mac. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Great to see you. Welcome aboard. Then what we have is yesterday. Okay, so then yesterday we have the House Oversight Committee questioning the Epstein survivors, which caught a lot of buzz, media buzz, and it broke the internet, especially, Nancy Mace, who I've got kind of some mixed emotions about Nancy Mace. I think she tends to really, really love social media, maybe a little bit too much for a person in her position and her profession. And she tends to make a lot of things about her, but she walked out. I'm not going to share that footage. I am going to share with you a couple of clips from Representative Luna, who said some pretty amazingly bombshell things, as well as Senator Tim Burchett, which we all love. But Nancy Mace walked out of this meeting this hearing of the Epstein survivors crying and emotionally distraught, and she didn't take any questions. She declined to take any questions. She just kind of stormed out of there, and then she later posted, "I just couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it." Now, I want to be very clear. I had a great conversation with one of our amazing, intelligent viewers, because everybody here at Nez Nation is super smart and amazing. Everything that I'm kind of discussing here, and I'm going to give you kind of an unpopular take here. I am never, ever, ever. I know there are victims. I would never, ever dare question. I would never, ever dare compromise any individual, male or female, who has gone through this horrific, harrowing ordeal of what Epstein put these innocent victims through at the behest of these extremely powerful individuals. I would never in a million years. I'm a father, for crying out loud. That's why this kind of hits home on multiple levels for me, but especially on a visceral, emotional, and personal level. But that doesn't mean that I can't criticize what's happening here. And so take it for what it's worth. I'm going to give you something that might even piss you off at the end here after we go through all this stuff and I share with you. And who knows, I might even change my opinion by then. I might not even think that. But, I always try to follow in Trump's footsteps, exhibiting radical transparency. And it's never about gotcha or look at me, I'm right, or finger wagging. See, I told you. It's about the ultimate thing that Aristotle said 2,000 years ago: communication, coming together as a community is not about who said, he said, she said, his idea, he's right, he's wrong, she's right, she's wrong. It's about coming to the truth, no matter who said it, no matter what arises. And so, having said that, I find it really intriguing, to say the very least, of what's come out today. I'm not doubting these victims. It just, and I said this kind of in an X post. By the way, follow me on X. I know my mods, we got the best mods in the business, are putting my X profile, or you can just open up X on your app, on your phone or whatever. Just look for Professor Nez with the blue check mark. There's only one me. There's a bunch of imposters, but there's only one me with over 24,000 followers on X. Follow me on X, because I post 1 million times a day. I do a lot on X. X is pretty much the last bastion of free speech. I do find I'm just getting sort of these Me Too vibes, okay? And it's something, there's an air of incredulity hovering around this whole thing. I'm not doubting. Again, I would never in a million years, you see my glasses are fogging up just because I'm saying this, because I can already feel your heat. I can feel your heat, everybody. But anyway, let's get through this and I'll get a little bit more elaborate on that. So here's Representative Luna after talking with the Epstein survivors yesterday. And she says it's clear this thing is a lot bigger than we could have anticipated. I want to share this with you right here. Check this out.
The biggest thing that stands out to me is the victims themselves have stated that this is a lot bigger than I think anyone anticipated. We are obviously going to be requesting the SARS reports from Treasury, and also following up on that. There's some very rich and powerful people that need to go to jail. I think everyone's been frustrated as to why that hasn't happened before. But it is very much so a possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset working for our adversaries. But also, too, I think the questions that we have is how much did our own government know about it? And so there's more to follow, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from the chairman momentarily. But I do applaud the victims from coming forward, because we heard from a woman who was as young as 14 years old when she was victimized multiple times by Jeffrey Epstein. So that's hard to hear.
Will you sign the discharge petition and ask the discharge petition?
I think that the files will probably be released prior. I don't know why Comer hasn't. I think that he should do it, so it wouldn't even have to come to a vote. But I mean, obviously, I've been a huge advocate, even when I was the only one in Congress calling for the release of this file. So I think I'd be happy to, yes. Thank you.
What do they call for the victims? They want those files released?
The victims want information to be out there, but they don't want their personal information, I think, for good reason to be out there. So I think from the get-go, even the Attorney General stated that there's victim information that you have to make sure that's private, being that some of the victims also, too, are as young as 14, and it's child pornography. No, thank you, guys.
Okay, so that's pretty heavy duty right there, to say the least, is it not? You have Representative Pauline Luna saying this is bigger than we even anticipated. This is bigger than we even thought. And saying that Epstein could have been a foreign asset, an intelligence foreign asset. There's a lot of talks that this stream could get taken down right now just for me saying this. There's a lot of hush-hush around this topic. I'm trying to share this with you because it's breaking the internet. This is literally the biggest story in the last 48 hours. This is it, okay? And I think that's part of the reason why Trump is so upset about this. And I'm going to tell you my take on that as well. A lot of people got canceled for saying that Epstein was a foreign intelligence asset. A lot of prominent individuals in the media space were ridiculed for saying something like that. There's a lot of people who think, and I'm not saying that I'm one of them, but I'd love to get your thoughts on this. There's a lot of people who think that President Trump, Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, there's something going on there that's way more involved, more elaborate, more complex than just a mere sort of international relationship or an allied relationship. There's a lot of people that think that President Trump, and I'm not one of them, there's a lot of people that think that President Trump has to kind of bow down to Israel. And a lot of people think that Israel has a lot more overt exertion and control over a lot of aspects of American policy and legislation than we ever would have, come to know through public disclosure. I don't know if any of that's true, but it's interesting for her to say that there's some very, very big people involved, and she seemed to say emphatically that there's really, really hard evidence, concrete evidence, that Epstein is not who he says he was, that he may have been a foreign asset. Here's Representative Tim Burchett leaving a meeting with Epstein survivors yesterday, September 2nd. Today is September 3rd, 2025. Welcome. Tap that thumbs up if you love America. He says, we got to rethink the whole files thing. Watch this. I'm going to play this for you right now.
These ladies were mistreated by Epstein and Maxwell, but also mistreated by the government. And we got to rethink the whole files thing. Apparently, there's some files that they don't want out. So I've said all along, we need to protect these young ladies, but they're ladies. I guess they were young, they're kids when it happened. So yeah, we need to make sure we do that. And I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get to the right spot where we can release everything that needs to be released. But again, in our rush to do this, we have to protect these ladies and these others that were involved.
Is that what they were advocating for in there, to keep some things private?
Yeah, because I asked specifically. It wasn't really a question and answer, but they made a statement, and I asked specifically about certain files. I don't want to disclose too much because obviously, but yeah, I think we need to protect these young ladies.
Are you still going to sign on to Massey's discharge petition?
I got to clarify that we can protect what they need protected. I think we all agree on that.
So there's somebody that I highly respect. I'm not really that crazy about Nancy Mace, I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying that I don't like her fight sometimes, and I think her ideas, especially when it comes to the whole transgender kind of, I don't know if you saw this today. Now Malcolm Gladwell is apologizing, saying he was intimidated. I was intimidated to talk about transgender being allowed in female sports. I was wrong. Well, it's so convenient for you gutless. You're just proving how gutless and heartless you guys are. You won't put it on the line when it really matters. But now that the smoke and dust has settled and you were proven wrong and you are not popular, that majority of Americans are sick and tired of your woke garbage, now all of a sudden they come out of the woodworks. Have you heard about this Malcolm Gladwell thing where he says, I was intimidated. Oh, dear. Wokeism intimidated me. I didn't know what to do. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. Buy my books. What a gutless, heartless mook. So, I mean, Nancy Mace is great. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with Nancy Mace. I just think she tends to make it all about her. Okay, then President Trump, I want to share this with you. So President Trump was asked, there's survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference right now as we speak. And this has gone viral. This was during his meeting with Polish President Nawrocki at the White House. I'm going to play this for you right here. And come on back and we'll talk about this.
President, right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who was sponsoring a discharge petition to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be. And he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given, but it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at DC right now, DC, it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do. All run by Democrats, or for the most part, run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success, like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going.
He's right about that. Okay, so we got some great. I love our Nez Nation audience. Love you guys so much. So this is a great comment, and other people have been commenting similar to this. The hoax he is speaking of is the smear campaign against him at C minor op 67. 100%. So everybody's making a big deal out of Trump saying it's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. When he has said time and time again, I told Pam Bondi, release everything you have that you can under the Constitution, under law and order, that stipulates legally what you can release. He said that time and time again. You can't blame Trump for the way this was handled. Like Pam Bondi botched it. Patel, I think Bongino, I think they all kind of botched it. I'm not saying they're not doing a good job going after criminals, illegals, et cetera, but they botched this 1 billion%. And so this is a guy who's doing so much for America. He is absolutely correct that he's ended 7 wars. He's absolutely correct that we have the greatest border in the history of the United States. He's absolutely correct that he has literally cleaned up crime in our nation's capital. I've got my son's 8th grade trip coming up in spring. I'm dying to go now, finally. I wasn't before because you had to look over your shoulder in all these blue run cities. I'm dying to go now. Thank you to President Trump. It's such an egregious, foul demerit on the greatest country of all time that we don't have a nation's capital that should be the shining city on the hill. But it's been an absolute septic tank due to blue senators, governors, and mayors. And it's all over. You look at Los Angeles, you look at San Francisco, you look at Detroit, you look at Chicago, you look at New York City. They're all like that. This is a pattern. Lawlessness is a pattern. Newsom's California is a perfect example. Karen Do Nothing Bass is a perfect example. He's not talking about the victims. So this has been blown completely out of proportion. Okay, what he is talking about is how you, and I'm telling you right now, I can say this legitimately, not just through research, not just through due diligence, but from actually experiencing it every single time. I mean, every single time that I try to talk a little bit of common sense into my liberal brothers and sisters, the people who have fallen for the pollution of woke media, CNN, ABC, CBS, you name it, the number one thing they say is, how can you support a pedo? How can you support an rapist? How can you support President Trump doesn't want the Epstein files released because he is a pedophile? It is insanity. Somebody else commented, and I don't have it here in front of me, but somebody else commented something totally legit and absolutely justified, saying, if they wanted, if he was intimated in the files, if he was included in these files and they could incriminate him with that, they would have released it. For crying out loud, ladies and gentlemen, don't you understand what's going on here? Excuse me. They tried to defame him, debank him, arrest him, put him in prison. They tried to assassinate him, for crying out loud. You don't think, and let's just talk about this logistically. They had control over all 3 branches of the United States government. They had oversight over every single intelligence community for years. For years. Why didn't they release it then? And to prove this, I want to share this clip that I found, which I think is very telling. Here is a clip right here of July 2024, which I think sums up the entire interest of the Democrats in the Epstein case over the last 4 abysmal dark years. I want you to look at this very, very carefully. That's what I want you to do. Check this out.
Jeffrey Epstein, been in the news a lot lately about involvement with certain people high in politics involved. Did the FBI conduct the raid on his townhouse in New York when he was incarcerated in New York? There was a raid on his East Side townhouse.
Well, I don't know about a raid. I know we executed a number of searches in the course of our fairly extensive investigation
Can
related
you tell
to
me
Epstein.
during that search if you came across and have within the possession of the FBI tapes of him with other individuals that he might have taken in people and compromising?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything I can share related to that. I can see if there's information we could provide and maybe get back to you on it.
If there were tapes of people in prominent positions, friends of his he posed for pictures with, possibly in compromising positions, it would be the public, I think, has a right to see those.
Well, I mean, how we handle evidence recovered in a criminal investigation has all kinds of rules that apply to it. I recognize the intense public interest in the subject, but we have to follow our rules. But I'm happy, like I said, I'm happy to follow up with my team on it.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate your service and thank you for being here today.
That's it. That's literally it. How's the audio, mods? Or can you guys hear me and can you hear the video? Is everything okay with the audio? Just double checking here because I'm getting some comments. Let me know, mods. That's it. Oh, I don't know if we have anything like that. Okay, thank you very much for your time and service. All of a sudden they're screaming, Epstein files, he's a pedo. That's why he doesn't want it. Trump's on the Epstein file. He's a pedo. He's the pedo. That's how much interest they showed only a year ago. That's how much interest they showed. Could you please tell me just in case you couldn't hear that, I'll just repeat what he said. He essentially said, so Mr. Wray, who was then FBI director, when you raided Epstein's townhome, did you come across any evidence? No, we didn't. Okay, but if I did, I'll let you know. Okay, cool. See you later. But now all of a sudden, that's all they rage. Do you guys realize the Democrats are so destitute? They have absolutely nothing, no ideas, no solutions, no strategy, no vision, no accomplishments, the lowest approval rating in the history of American politics. They're so low, lower than the sewer, that they invented just over Labor Day weekend a death hoax saying that President Trump hasn't been seen. He hasn't been seen in 48 hours. I think he's got a body double. And it actually gained steam. That's how low, that's how devoid of solutions, devoid of serving the American people, so devoid, malnourished in their deep, cavernous, vapid soul. They have to invent a death rumor for the President of the United States. There is not a depth that they won't sink to, y'all. This is the Democrats. This is the hypocrites. I also posted this on X the other day. I don't know if anybody really saw this, but I just want to repeat this. It's kind of a meme that I think is literally spot on about the hypocrites. I call them the hypocrites because when a tree breathes, oxygen is released. When a Democrat breathes, raw pollutant sewage spews and pollutes everybody's brain and creates TDS. If a liberal from 1960 showed up in 2025, he'd be considered a conservative. Let me know if you agree with this or not. Let me repeat. If a liberal from 1960 showed up in 2025, modern day America, he'd be considered a conservative. If a liberal from now, 2025, showed up in 1960, he'd be considered a dangerous lunatic. Let me know if you agree with that or not. Spot on. I think that is spot on. So those two things about the fact that if they wanted to, if he was incriminated in the Epstein files, there would have been no hesitation releasing that to defame him. And their cries about Epstein now just means they're devoid. They're so destitute, so desperate. They so have nothing that they're clinging. I mean, you can't even say they're grasping at straws. They're grasping at, subatomic particles in the dirt. They've got nothing, y'all. Literally nothing. They invented a death hoax. Okay. So this happened today. So Epstein survivors gathered on Capitol Hill to demand justice, announcing plans to compile and release their own list of alleged abusers and associates. Joined by Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, they criticized the government delays in unsealing files and pushed for Epstein File Transparency Act, which has 134 signatures and needs 2 more to force a House vote. Survivors shared emotional testimonies naming figures like Bill Clinton. And here, I want to share this. I want to share one of these excerpts right here. This is from survivor Shantae Davies, who reveals she was taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. I want to share this with you right here. Check this out.
I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience. And when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life. And that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us.
So that was Shantae Davies right there, who was sharing her story. I want to also share this panel right here that was done on NBC News. It just seems really odd that all of a sudden everybody's coming out of the woodworks now. That's why I say I get these Me Too vibes. I'm not saying I don't believe any of these victims. I respect, and I know there are tons of victims of Epstein and these demonic, powerful, prominent individuals. It's obvious that Trump wasn't one of them. He can brag about Trump. That's totally fine. But it's obvious that Trump wasn't one of them, as Ghislaine Maxwell has noted, as other people have noted. And then check this out, direct Epstein survivors, because NBC's trying to play gotcha. They're not real journalists over there. But I want to share this. I want to share this because this is NBC asking this panel of Epstein survivors whether or not President Trump was included or seen at any of these Epstein gatherings. So check this out really quickly.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
So there you have it. No, they all said no. Every single one of them said no, in unison, as a matter of fact. They all said no. So I don't know. I find this very, very, and then this is even more odd right here, where you have Epstein survivors announce they will compile their own list of abusers who frequented his island and plane. Quote, "We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. We will compile the names. We all know we're regularly in Epstein's world." So this is very bizarre as well. And I want to just kind of share this here. I want to share what this survivor had to say as she was saying that, hey, guess what? We don't need you to put out anything. Guess what? We're going to put out our own list. Check this out.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors.
I don't understand. So am I the only one here who's like, why don't you just say who it is? Why don't you just list the names? I'm so sick and tired. This is what I mean by Epstein fatigue. Tell us who it is. That's all we want to know. Who was it? Was it Bill Gates? Was it Bill Clinton? Was it Kevin Spacey? Was it Clooney? Was it Obama? Was it Hunter Biden? Just tell us who it was. Was it the, King of Siam? Was it a Saudi prince? Probably. I don't know if you guys saw that video where I gave a kind of long tour inside of Epstein's townhome in the ritziest part of Manhattan, where, there was all these pictures with Bill Gates and MSB, Mohammed Salbaden from Saudi Arabia, his master bedroom and that chair in the front. Anyway, if you haven't seen that, just go on my channel. You can check it out. But why not just say the names? Why not just say the names? I'm confused. I don't get it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting a lot of guff for joining this whole thing, as well as Massey and everybody else. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't think Luna, and I don't think Nancy Mace or even Burchett or anybody else like that is a surprise. But I do think a lot of people were surprised to see Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's such a staunch Trump supporter, be a part of this. But let's listen to what she has to say.
Good morning. This is my 5th year in Congress, and this is the largest press conference that I've seen since I've been here. And this is because this is an issue that matters so much to Americans. This is an issue that doesn't have political boundaries. It's an issue that Republicans and Democrats should never fight about. As a matter of fact, it's such an important issue that it should bring us all together. It's grieved me to watch the arguments and debates take place among my colleagues and even the administration. I think this is something that was worth fighting for. You see, the women behind me are going to tell you stories that you've never heard before.
These are unimaginable horrors that they've lived with for their entire lives since they were very, very young. But these are also similar stories that many children, teenagers, women, and even men are enduring nightmares right now as we speak. You see, these women have been fighting since the 1990s. I heard one woman tell us yesterday since 1996, and they have carried with them shame. But I want to tell you something. The shame does not fall on these brave, courageous women. The shame falls on every single person that coldly turned a blind eye to their abuse. The shame falls on every single person that enabled it. The shame falls on every single person that took money to continue it. And the shame falls on the people in power over the past several decades that protected the monster, Jeffrey Epstein, and his cabal that continued a nightmare. Those people deserve the shame. And today we are coming forward and we are going to fight like hell for these women, because we have to fight like hell for those that are enduring sexual abuse and are living in a prison of shame. Anyone that is being abused, it is not your fault. You should live with no guilt or fear or shame. All of the fault belongs to the evil people that do these things to the innocent. This is the most important fight we can wage here in Congress, is fighting for innocent people that never receive justice. And the women behind me have never received justice. And do you want to know why? It's because Jeffrey Epstein somehow was able to walk among the most rich, powerful people, not only in America, but foreign countries. Yesterday, I heard countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Israel, and other countries. The truth needs to come out, and the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth we are demanding come out on behalf of these women, but also as a strong message to every innocent child, teenager, woman, and man that is being held captive in abuse. This should never happen in America, and it should never be a political issue that divides us.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think anybody doubts or anybody would ever begrudge the survivors and the victims, and I certainly don't as well. It's just so interesting to me that, so there was redacted files, there was non-redacted files, then there was partial files, then there was, this is all we can release, but we can't. They gave out binders to a bunch of influencers, Big Nothing Burger. Now everybody's coming out and talking about it. Now you've got, where was all this years ago? Where was all this when it first broke? When you knew you would have support from this administration and this intelligence community, it just seems, I mean, Epstein fatigue doesn't even cover it. Are we ever going to get to the bottom of the truth? Are we ever going to really understand what happened here? Are we ever going to know who these people are? I don't know. Maybe the survivors are going to, you heard one of them say, I don't know why they didn't just do it right then and just tell us who it is. Maybe for legal reasons, I have no idea. Or maybe they're going to bring up a lawsuit, or God knows what. There's some sort of financial charge compensation happening. I don't know. But I do know one thing that is capital FACTA fact, and that is President Trump is not calling their victimhood, their abuse by this sick, twisted, evil dude, Epstein, and the people that he deployed these poor, innocent people to. He is not calling them a hoax. What he is referring to is the hoax that President Trump has anything to do with this. That I will put everything on that. You've got a guy who time and time again, who has proven right every single time. You got a guy time and time again who said, I tell my kids all the time, no alcohol, no smoking, no drugs. You got a guy who has literally come through on every single promise that he's made. He has kept it. The border, 100% secure. Men out of women's sports. He's getting rid of crime. He's reorienting the United States as a prominent, respected nation on the global stage. We're getting trillions of dollars of revenue. He just said today that revenue from the tariffs could supplant federal tax revenue, meaning the IRS could go hasta la pasta, which is like, can you imagine? I don't know about you, but as somebody who, stresses out every single April 15th, before it nears, because I never get money back. I always have to pay. Never, ever do I get money back. I can't even remember the last time I probably got money back was when I was a cashier, at the Sawdust Festival. I think that was when I was like a 17-year-old. I think it was the last time I ever got money back. And so ever since then, I've been paying. So can you imagine? And by the way, this is a precedent. This isn't something brand new. This was a precedent set in the late 19th century that we had so much revenue from tariffs. We didn't need income tax. We didn't need to tax our citizens on a federal level like that. Everything that he said he was going to do, he has kept. And if you just forget the fact that you love him or hate him, forget all that, put all of that aside. Why didn't you release it when you had complete control of the government? I'm talking all three branches. You had complete oversight and control over every single intelligence agency. You tried to assassinate him. You tried to imprison him. You tried to debank him. You tried to defame him. Why? You don't think after them throwing literally everything they could to derail President Trump's election campaign, you don't think they would have thrown that in the mix too if they had the chance, if there was anything incriminating? There's no way you can convince me of that. Impossible. Of course they would have thrown that at him. I mean, it makes no sense. That's all they have. The hypocrites have absolutely nothing. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this? Yes, Brandy from Rumble. Great to see you. Great to have you with us. I just know that these women are not out of danger and they must be protected at all costs. 100%. 100%. Norma says, if President Trump was a friend of Epstein's, he didn't know the evil of the Democrats. And when he found out how evil they were, he unfriended them. I don't believe the Democrats at all. Yeah, if that's true, but guess what? It doesn't mean the same thing. It doesn't mean the same thing. I'm not defending him because I know his heart of gold. There's no way that he would deride victims. It's just a way of twisting his words to fit your own means and your own ends. That's what I truly believe that with all my heart. I voted for him 3 times. And not only that, but every single eyewitness testimony, people behind the scenes. I mean, you want to know what Trump is really, really like? Look at what Bill Maher, and then he was such a pussy. He was so afraid that he was going to lose his ratings that he reneged on everything. He went back to attacking Trump. But you take the worst vile stench, anti-American, stuck-up, narcissistic schlub in Bill Maher, who was invited to dinner with President Trump and then admitted, I was so moved by him. He was so honest. He was so forthright. He was so welcoming, inviting. He even listened to my ideas about foreign affairs, Iran. Everything I thought about him was wrong. And then as soon as he saw his audience turn on him, he reneged on all that. A complete and utter coward, Bill Maher is. But everybody who's ever worked with him and met with him say the exact same thing. He's a heart of gold. Even the BS sham trial that they tried to thrust upon him in New York, the sham Letitia Big Shame James and Judge Gargamel trial, the bank said, look, we have no problem with President Trump. He paid all his loans back with interest. There was no victim. There was no crime. We want to work with him again. We want to lend him more money. That's just one small example. One small example. Time and time again, you hear the same thing. There's no way in a billion years you can convince me that President Trump is saying, you victim of these heinous acts are a hoax. You're misinterpreting it. You're twisting his words to fit your own agenda, because you know why? Just the same reason why you have the worst approval ratings in U.S. political history. You got Nathan, cero, hasta la pasta, nada. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. You got nothing. That's why you invented a death rumor over Labor Day weekend. Shame on all of you hypocrites. Shame on all of you. I want to hear from you guys. Melody Jordan 6052 says the Democrats would have run with this Epstein files if Trump was involved in any way. The Dems could not find anything on this good man. 100%. That's what I think. 100%. Diane, I'm sorry, says if they had any evidence on Trump doing wrong with minors or anyone or any crime, they would have used it years ago when Epstein Island info came out, because all else failed. 100%. That's exactly what I said. I want to give a huge shout out to Mountain Goddess MG, 5 Professor Nez memberships. I want to give a shout out to Robbie Reeder. You're the best. R squared. Thank you, Jim Barron. You guys rock. Thank you to Mr. Dissenter for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, Jean-Paul Tran, for the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Dr. McMack, with the $4.99 super sticker. Pardon me. Jim Barron, we got the best mods in the business. Thank you so much for being here. Love you guys so much. So, you know, now there's all these hashtags, Epstein cover up, Epstein cover. It's just unfounded. There is nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. There is no cover up. He said time and time again, I told Pam Bondi, release everything you got. This is the party of radical transparency. Release everything you got. I just find it fishy that the Democrats are just dragging this out and all of a sudden demanding this. You saw the video I shared with Representative Cohen back in 2024. They had no interest. All of a sudden they're yelling Epstein file. They had no interest in any of this stuff in the past. I think it's a complete hoax. And the title of this stream is, not only is the Epstein thing not going away, it just got a whole lot worse, is because they're going to take these words, it's a hoax, and I was trying to debunk them. And it's really, really important that 2 things happen, okay? Number one, the victims, the true victims of these crimes, deserve all of the attention that they deserve. They deserve to be heard. They deserve to be believed. And they deserve their time, right? Number 2, if there is anything that is being held back, it should all be released. And then number 3, I think somebody needs to talk to President Trump and say, clarify what you're calling exactly a hoax. Because I guarantee you, if somebody had the balls, and President Trump, if you happen to be watching, Caroline Levitt, I know your people, Stephen Miller, the whole White House staff watch this. I'm begging you. He is so easy to talk to. He's so easy to communicate. Don't be afraid. Be like, President Trump, I think some people are just misinterpreting by what you mean by hoax. We know in our hearts you don't mean these victims and their stories and what Epstein did was a hoax. We know what you're talking about, that you're saying them connecting you is a complete hoax, just like Russia, which was actually proven true. And so if somebody would just communicate to him so he could clarify, all of this would be a moot, all of this. Yeah, I kind of wish they would say their name. So they said that, hey, we're going to release everything, right? That's what they said. So one of the survivors says that we are going to release our own list of names. We know who abused us. I shared that video with you. We saw who came and went. The list will be survivor-led for survivors. Isn't this a perfect opportunity when the world's all paying attention to you? And you've got 2 bipartisan representatives who are backing you in Massey and Khanna? Why don't you just say who it is? That's all we want to know. We just want to know who it was. Who were you abused by? Who were you taken advantage of by? That's all we want to know. I don't understand why they didn't just say it then. Is it just me? Am I the only one who's wondering that? Robbie Reeder says, release the names. Yeah, Release the names. That's fine. Yeah, Prince Andrew, for crying out loud, 100% Prince Andrew, even though he says, I had nothing to do with that young lady. He's sweating in front. Remember that famous interview? When was that interview? 2019? I can't remember when that interview was. So that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on this. When I say it's only gotten worse, is it does take away from the accomplishments of the America First policies, and it's not going to go away. So it needs to be addressed. They're going to twist President Trump's words, calling it a hoax. I disagree. I don't think he should be calling it a hoax, even though I know what he means, but I know how these hypocrites are going to twist that. And so this is not obviously going away. Now you've got MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now you've got Massey. Now you've got bipartisan support. You've got Tim Burchett. You've got a lot of people who are saying it's going to come out. We got to find out who these people are, and there needs to be accountability. I think as soon as Trump goes, okay, fine, let's hold them accountable, which he has said that, but it hasn't been conveyed with the right sound and the right words. I think all of this is going to become moot. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been watching. Please, if you love America, the mission of our channel is to make common sense go viral. Hit that thumbs up. It doesn't cost you a thing. Sign up for our free newsletter. It's absolutely free. That's in the pinned comment and description. You can't miss anything if you sign up. It takes you 2 seconds to do that. We don't spam. I don't share your email with anybody. Sign up for that. It's absolutely free. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.